Hi, I'm going to give you another example of using PHP. This time I'm going to define for loops and functions and some arrays. I'm going to make a simple page that shows some foods I enjoy, very, very useful. And along the way, we'll see that PHP is definitely in the family of programming languages that's based upon C. In fact, some of the functions involved are just straight up wrappers for C functions. So well, let's get started. I'm going to so let's see what I have so far. I have this PHP tag, which again it's going to encompass the whole file. I kind of prefer that style rather than embedding PHP tags in the middle. Mostly because once you start defining functions, it gets kind of strange to define a function in the middle of a page or at the beginning. Anyways, I'm PHP, to be honest, is not my favorite programming language. It is, however, very useful. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a couple echo statements here. They're echoing out some snippets of HTML. If I come over here, refresh my page, yeah, there's nothing here, but I can see in terms of there's nothing in the list, but I have a reasonably structured HTML page. So now let me define an array. And I'll do another video just on arrays because there's so much to them in PHP. They're kind of like the one and only data structure. It was kind of a strange choice for them to make, but well, that's what they did. So to make a new array, use keyword array. So I'm just going to make an array of strings. Again, you don't have to declare types of anything in PHP. There are type hints. I might do another video on that. But they're only for, they say, scalar values. So only for variables that just contain an int, float, string, boolean, something like that. They're not for complex types like an array of something or an array of arrays or anything like that. So anyways, I'm just going to make an array here with some some foods in it. Let's do, okay, all the B's. That's a good one. Pizza's great. I like eggs. How about pancakes? That's a great one. Waffles. Let's do steak. Let's do, oh, look at this. Basically, I like almost anything. So it's kind of hard to just make a list, but oh, let's do yeah. Fries. Freedom fries. Yeah, there we go. Remember that was a trend? Love it. Still is. Anyways, so that's the syntax for defining an array. This is a keyword array. With parentheses, and you can list out the contents of it. However, arrays are not fixed in length like C or Java or something like that. They're actually associative arrays, meaning they're essentially like a hash map or dictionary type. PHP just sort of pretends and abuses them and uses them in weird ways. So you can just pretend, oh, it's like an array, but we can add things to it. We can take things out of it. Anyways, I'm just going to define this here. So at least it has a reasonable syntax for defining an array with a bunch of items already in it. Now I'm going to show you a couple different ways of looping over it. So I want to show each food item. So you can do the C-style array for loop with arrays, and it should be I is less than the count. Oops, keep forgetting. I have to put the $ every time. I plus plus. So yes, it has a C-style plus plus operator. Assignments the same. Addition, subtraction, all that good stuff is the same. I'm going to access each element. So let's see here. I'll do food item. Now, the standards for should a variable or it's kind of changed a bit over time, like what the naming conventions are in terms of camel case versus snake case. I believe snake case is still preferred for just straight up variables, and for function names too. However, once you define classes and objects, I believe camel case is preferred for method names and whatnot. There's some inconsistencies that it's been an evolving standard, but anyways, I'm going to get out food sub I. Now I'm going to echo some HTML, but remember I can do string interpolation. So, now let's give it a whirl. Food sub I. I made a typo. That's a great feature. Actually, let me go peek at my error log. Yeah, so let me click over to my terminal. Yep, it's the right thing. So you see I have all this stuff. It's complaining, hey, undefined variable. So that's another fun feature of PHP. It's kind of like JavaScript in that it just sort of rolls with mistakes sometimes. It's not quite as bad. But let me fix this. Let me refresh. Let me see what's happening here. Control-Shift-R. Again, I have another typo. This is, again, the joy of all things web programming is, if something doesn't work, I have another typo there. So it's complaining about all these things. Hey, there we go. But it doesn't generate. I mean, I could look at the terminal. It will have generated a bunch of errors there. If I pop over to this, complain about undefined variables. So you need to check your output in your terminal to see if you actually have errors. Because the script will just kind of try to keep running. So different parts failed, but it's like, hey, let's just keep going. I don't know. To me, that's like one of the most frustrating things about both JavaScript and PHP, that it does stuff like that. It's just the world we live in. So yeah, okay, so now I have this fantastic function in it, or not a function, this for loop using the classic sort of C style. I can do an enhanced for loop. So there's for each. I could do food. So you do, to me, the syntax is always sort of backwards and unnatural. You do array as item. So I'll do food item. And I'll comment out this to make it, hopefully that makes it look equivalent. I run it again, nothing breaks. I guess this might convince you that it's actually doing something different. Yep, see if that goes away. Maybe include it. So yeah, that's how you use the enhanced for loop in PHP. That's kind of nice, so I don't have to do these other steps. Let me go back a smidge. I believe, see if I'm right, I believe we can also do string interpolation even with the arrays. We'll see about this. Well, that syntax highlighting makes me think that I'm wrong. We'll go to whirl. Yeah, it works. Hey. So yeah, if I comment this out, right? Hey, it's gone. Put it back in. Look at me. I'm almost a scientist just by taking and removing things. Okay, I'm putting back. Just kidding. But I'm a scientist. Anyways, yeah, so that's another thing we can do. We can do string interpolation even with arrays. I'm going to ditch this nonsense and just go straight into the enhanced for loop. So I'll do food item, get rid of this, food item, refresh. Hey, okay, so everything's good. Now, let's say I want to add, for fun, take in an option like a string prefix. and only keep the foods that match that prefix. So if I send in the letter B, I should just get burritos, bacon, and bagels, for example. Man, this is actually making me super hungry. It's almost dinner time. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to define a function. So I'm going to call it filter food. It's almost like, yeah, it's almost something. Anyways, I'm going to take items and prefix. So here's the syntax for defining a function. Just use that keyword function, the name, and then we'll list whatever parameters you want. Again, typing is not so much a thing in Python, or excuse me, PHP. It's not really in Python either. Actually, it's kind of moving the change in both. So PHP, you can do suggested types. I'll make another video on that. And then also in Python, they're going to apparently add some typing to that, optional typing, which would be fantastic. So static typing, rather. But anyways, I want to only keep the foods that start with the prefix. So we'll take a look at this. So this will give me a chance to use an if, I guess. So I'll do, again, let's define a new array here. And we'll do, I'm going to do for each items as item. That's original. Then I'll show you a few things here. So again, I always want to keep it if it matches. I'm going to take, there's substir, which that's just a straight up reference to C, if you're familiar with that. But so that takes a string and some bounds, some indices. So I want for the 0th thing to strlen of the prefix. So I'm getting a prefix size chunk off the item. Yeah, I should probably check, if I was going to be really good, check to make sure that, this doesn't go too far or something like that. But yeah, let's just roll with it. And we'll check, make sure that matches the prefix. If that does, array push, yeah, that's oh, PHP. We'll push the item onto the array. So PHP was initially not an object-oriented language. Most of the kind of string and array functions, well, they're functions, they're not methods. It's not part of like an object you call. You don't call like string.length, you call strlen on string. Because again, this thing was just a wrapper for C initially. PHP just started off because some guy got tired of writing C code to make a web page, which was the original thing for web programming, believe it or not, through that Common Gateway Interface, CGI. But anyways, so a lot of this is just a wrapper for C. And then later on, they thought, well, we'll add some classes and objects and whatnot. But for now, for all the basics, this is what we got. So again, the if syntax is exactly the same as the C/Java family of languages. There's no difference. I could have, else if something if I wanted to, or just YP, I don't want that. Okay, and then, or else, or something like that. With curly braces, great. It's all the same. Again, the while loop, I'll just throw that out there, is exactly the same as the C++, Java world. So there's nothing different about it. Let's see here. Yeah, so I have my filter. Now I'm going to, let's get prefix. I'm going to use my get parameter again. Get prefix. And down here, before calling, I'm going to do filter food. And I'm going to give it prefix. And so this is going to be, there's going to be a problem here if I don't supply a prefix. So there's some things you'd want to do. If I send in nothing, it should work. Yeah. If I take this off, it should break. Or does it work? Okay, well, magic of PHP. Oh, because it's giving me an empty string, probably. If you prefix a B, hey, just got that burritos, bagels, and bacon. You know, if you put enough veggies in the burritos, it's almost a complete sort of food pyramid there. Well, it's neither here nor there, but there's my example. So I defined a function, use some arrays in an array style. We see that arrays are dynamic in their size, so array push will just keep growing an empty array, or any array for that matter. We saw the enhanced for loop, if statements. Just know there's a bunch of built-in functions like substir, strlen, count. These are typically very related to the built-in C functions that exist. Oh, comparing double equals. That I should mention that is it's actually it's not an identity comparison, but equivalence comparison. And what else do we see? Well, that's mostly it. So hopefully you enjoyed that example. You know a little more PHP now. Great. Bye.